Hey, I'll admit, I was a little bit surprised at the results of this survey that I did at my YouTube community page. I was thinking about what is it that gets people to leave the hobby? And in a follow-up survey, I'll be asking what brought you back to the hobby? I would imagine that what would get people to leave would be some type of catastrophic loss, like an entire die-off of all your fish because of disease or some sort of equipment malfunction, something like that. That was my assumption. I just assumed that would be the result of the survey. I was off. I was way off. Fish loss only came up as 23%. The third place was cost and budget. It just got too expensive. I could definitely see that depending on what kind of fish you're keeping. Like if you're keeping discus or you're trying to buy large African cichlids that in some cases kill each other, and you're paying $50 to $100 a piece, that could get real expensive real fast. Fish loss was 23% of the answers. Over 220 of you answered, and the number one reason for leaving was a job schedule or not having enough time to take care of the tanks. I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense. A person starts a family, they change a job, maybe they're in the military, maybe they get transferred to a different location, or their job involves moving around a bit. They just don't have the time, and so it gets neglected. That leads to a gradual die-off, and finally they go, forget it. I'm just not going to do this anymore. And you see all their equipment offered on eBay or Craigslist for 5 cents on the dollar. But that was a surprise. That was a surprise. If I had to guess, I would have said a die-off, because that has that emotional impact that makes someone feel defeated and wanting to just give up, right? Throw in the towel. There were a lot of interesting comments, ranging from people who were out of control, a lot of it on work and relocation. One person, the wife said the new house was not going to have tanks, and then a few years later, the person said, it's not a new house anymore, I want my tanks, and he got his tanks. At any rate, check out the survey. It's on the YouTube community page. A lot of interesting comments underneath the survey, and I'm going to follow it up with a survey about what brought you back to the hobby, because these surveys always have a missing component, and in this case, the missing component are all those folks out there who don't even go to YouTube anymore because they're out of the hobby, and their story would be very interesting, but of course we have no way of reaching them. So the survey is really attracting folks that are in the hobby now and had a hiatus, right? They left and they came back. But there's probably a tremendous number of folks out there in the wild who left and never returned, and don't spend time on fish YouTube channels, and certainly are not answering any of my surveys. Military came out. Someone talked about burnout. One person asserted that they've never left the hobby, and that's a great thing. At any rate, I'd like to hear from you. Why don't you give me a double answer? If you've left the hobby at any point, why did you leave the hobby? And probably at this stage, more interesting to me, what brought you back? What brought you back to the hobby? I'd like to know about that. What pulled you out? Was it, like in the words of Michael Corleone, right? I've been trying to get out, but I keep getting pulled back. I keep getting...
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
I got in the hobby when I was 6 years old. I traveled a lot, and so I couldn't keep fish. Gave a tank to one of my kids. I ended up taking it over when he got busy, and here I am. So what pulled me back in was inheriting a tank, and then one thing led to the next, and now I'm completely addicted. But and it's a great addiction, right? As I like to tell my wife, there's a lot worse things I could be addicted to. So at any rate, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate you, and thank you for your support of the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.